Most men waste years of their lives completely misreading the women around them. And it usually starts with the exact same mistake. You think a woman is interested because she made eye contact with you across the room, laughed at a joke that wasn't even that funny, or stood a little closer than usual during a casual conversation. So you build up the courage to make a move, only to hit a brick wall of awkward rejection that leaves you feeling frustrated, confused, and embarrassed. What you didn't realize is that you were mistaking simple, polite, social manners for actual physical attraction. Polite conversation is just someone being nice. A friendly smile is just social courtesy. And eye contact often means nothing more than basic human acknowledgement. When you don't know how to tell the difference between a woman being polite and a woman who is genuinely drawn to you, you will constantly misread the situation, waste your energy, and end up right back at square one every single time. Here is the unfiltered truth that most guys learn way too late. A woman's body language will always tell you what she is feeling long before her voice ever does. Words are easy to fake, and social politeness is something people practice every single day without even thinking about it. A woman can smile at you and ask you how your day was purely out of habit, while her body is actually pulling away and telling an entirely different story. But physical instincts are nearly impossible to hide. When a woman feels real, deep-seated attraction, her nervous system takes over, and her body starts dropping clear physical cues long before her conscious mind even admits what is happening. If you learn how to spot the exact moment her body language shifts from basic friendliness to genuine, raw desire, the entire game changes for you. You won't have to second guess her intentions, overanalyze a text message, or wonder where you stand ever again, because the physical evidence will be right in front of your eyes. Before we break down the exact physical stages you need to look out for, take a second to hit the subscribe button and drop a like on this video. When you engage with this video, it pushes this content to other men who are sick of getting mixed signals, tired of guessing games, and ready to finally understand how attraction actually works. Let's dive straight in. Attraction never starts with explosive passion, crazy intensity, or dramatic gestures, no matter what movies or bad advice have led you to believe. Real physical attraction always begins with one fundamental foundation: psychological comfort. If a woman does not feel safe, relaxed, and comfortable around you, her defense mechanisms will remain active, and true attraction will never have the space to develop. Her body will naturally communicate this state of comfort long before she ever tells you how she feels. The very first thing you need to pay attention to is her overall body alignment. When her guard is down and she feels completely at ease in your presence, her body will naturally open up and point directly at you. She won't cross her arms defensively, turn her shoulders away, or position herself toward the nearest exit. Instead, her chest, hips, and feet will align directly in your direction. Pay extra attention to her feet. People rarely think about controlling their feet, which makes them one of the most honest indicators of interest. If her feet are pointed right at you, her attention and focus are fully engaged in the interaction. That complete physical openness is your baseline. Without it, nothing else can build. Once that solid baseline of comfort is set, her subconscious takes over and her body begins to display micro signals that are practically impossible to fake. These aren't intentional moves she is planning in her head. They are involuntary physical reactions triggered by her nervous system. As her interest deepens, her brain begins flooding her system with dopamine, which causes a series of subtle physiological shifts. You will notice her pupils dilating slightly as her vision focuses on you, her breathing becoming deeper and more relaxed, and a faint flush rising to her skin. Her hands will start making subtle, self-soothing touches that naturally draw your attention toward her sensitive areas. She might lightly touch her collarbone, run her fingers through her hair, or play with a necklace. At the same time, she will start unconsciously mirroring your body language. If you lean back, she leans back. If you rest your arm on the table, she does the same a few seconds later. This isn't random fidgeting or filler behavior. This is primal human chemistry at work, telling you that her nervous system is actively synchronizing with yours. As the interaction continues, the dynamic will shift from simple comfort and microsignals straight into active, undeniable desire. This is the exact moment where polite social interest transforms into visible physical attraction. A woman who is genuinely drawn to you will completely abandon her instinct to protect her personal space. The invisible boundary line between you disappears as she naturally closes the physical distance. She will lean in closer when you speak, tilt her head slightly to expose the side of her neck, and allow her gaze to lock onto yours far longer than what is required for normal conversation. You will see her eyes trace across your face, dropping down to your lips before returning to your eyes. She is no longer just listening to the words coming out of your mouth. Her entire physical presence is tuned in to the tension building between the two of you. Pay close attention to how she handles the natural pauses in the conversation at this stage. When true attraction is present, silence stops feeling awkward or forced and instead becomes charged with electric tension. A woman who desires you won't rush to fill a quiet moment with meaningless small talk. She will happily sit in that silence, hold your eye contact, and let the moment stretch out. This is where most men panic and ruin everything. The biggest mistake you can make right here is overreacting because you don't know how to handle the intensity. If you get eager, jump the gun, and push too hard, you shatter the natural buildup and make her feel pressured. On the flip side, if you get nervous, look away, and retreat, you send the message that you can't handle the tension, which instantly lands you in the friend zone. The winning play is simple. Stay grounded, maintain a relaxed posture, hold her eye contact with calm confidence, and let the attraction build on its own timeline. Real attraction is rarely a smooth, straight line from point A to point B. The moment a woman starts feeling strong, undeniable chemistry, a hidden psychological tug of war begins inside her mind. Her logical brain instantly starts fighting her natural physical reaction. On one hand, her body is telling her to step closer, lean into the dynamic, and let the spark grow. On the other hand, her protective instincts kick in to guard her emotions and make sure she isn't moving too fast with the wrong guy. This internal tug of war creates what is known as the push-pull test. 1 minute, she might glance at you with intense eye contact, laugh warmly at your joke, or throw out a bold, flirtatious comment. The very next minute, she might pull back slightly, cross her legs, look across the room, or give a brief, cool answer. It feels like a sudden hot and cold shift out of nowhere, but it is a completely natural part of the attraction process. This exact moment is where most men completely freeze up, lose their cool, and ruin their momentum. When guys see a woman pull back even a tiny bit, their immediate reaction is panic. They misinterpret that brief moment of distance as a sign of harsh rejection, assuming they said something wrong or lost her interest entirely. Driven by anxiety, they try to fix it instantly. They start talking faster, asking needy questions, reaching out for reassurance, or leaning in aggressively to force the chemistry back. That reaction is fatal to attraction. What most men fail to understand is that her sudden pullback isn't rejection at all. It is an instinctual test of your emotional stability. She is unconsciously checking to see what kind of foundation you are built on. She wants to know if your confidence is real or if you are just putting on a fake show that shatters the moment things get a little uncertain. She is testing to see if you are easily rattled by a shift in energy. If you react with panic, neediness, or frustration the second she steps back, you immediately prove that your confidence depends entirely on her approval. You show her that you cannot handle emotional tension, which instantly destroys the chemistry and causes her guard to slam shut. However, if you stay grounded, maintain a relaxed, open posture, and keep your composure without changing your energy, the entire dynamic turns in your favor. When she pulls back and sees that you remain completely unshaken, smiling calmly, holding your space, and letting the moment breathe, she gets the exact answer she was looking for. Your calm demeanor tells her system that you are a solid, stable man who doesn't get insecure or needy when things get interesting. That feeling of emotional safety is the key that unlocks her trust, allowing her to drop her defenses, stop overthinking, and let her attraction build to the next level. Once you move past the initial psychological tests, subtle signals transform into unmistakable, deliberate proximity. A woman who is genuinely drawn to you will stop leaving her presence to chance. She will actively create opportunities to close the distance between you. In a crowded room with plenty of open space, you will find her standing right next to you, sitting shoulder to shoulder, or walking so close that her arm naturally brushes against yours. Her entire vocal and visual delivery undergoes a noticeable shift during this phase. Her voice naturally drops into a softer, lower, more intimate register, a primal vocal shift designed for close-range communication that signals her guard is fully down. At the same time, her eye contact evolves from standard gaze into the classic triangle track. Her eyes shift down to look directly at your lips while you are speaking before rising back up to lock onto your eyes. That gaze pattern is an unconscious physical indicator that her mind is processing the idea of physical closeness. Her touch transitions from casual, social politeness into something deliberate and intentional. A friendly gesture like a light tap on the arm to emphasize a point, or brushing a piece of lint off your jacket, lingers for a second longer than socially necessary. That extra second is where the true dynamic lives. Her fingertips don't just graze your skin and retreat. They stay attached, allowing a subtle wave of physical tension to hang in the air between you. What destroys this fragile dynamic faster than anything else is pure overeagerness. Most men panic when they feel this shift, assuming they have to instantly grab for control, force the pace, or make a desperate move to seal the deal. That aggressive overreaction immediately shatters the mood and turns natural electric tension into an uncomfortable, pressured situation. Attraction does not grow through force or desperation. It feeds entirely on calm restraint. When she reaches out or steps into your personal space, the most powerful move you can make is to hold your ground, maintain steady composure, and let that physical spark exist without trying to rush it to the finish line. When you remain grounded and unbothered, her imagination begins doing the heavy lifting for you, and her desire deepens exponentially. Learning to read physical energy rather than endlessly overanalyzing every single word she says is what separates clueless guys from men who navigate interactions with complete confidence. When you master reading nonverbal cues, you permanently eliminate the need to guess where you stand or chase after validation. When desire reaches stage 5, standard attraction transforms into total physical and emotional synchronization. You will notice her body literally matching your physical tempo without her even realizing she is doing it. If you slow down your speech, her cadence naturally shifts to match yours. If you take a deep, steady breath, Her chest rises and falls in the exact same rhythm moments later. If you pause before speaking, she comfortably sits in that silence with you instead of rushing to fill the air. This isn't a calculated tactic or a game she is playing. It is a raw physiological response driven by her subconscious mind. When a woman feels a deep, authentic pull toward you, her nervous system stops viewing you as a stranger and begins tuning into your baseline frequency. This is the exact moment where deep emotional connection seamlessly fuses with magnetic physical chemistry. As that internal alignment settles in, you will watch her everyday social guard melt away in real time. The standard polite mask that most people wear to protect themselves in public disappears completely. Her laugh changes from a courteous chuckling to a deep, genuine expression of joy that lights up her entire face. Her eyes lock onto yours with an intensity that feels effortless, holding your gaze without any of the nervous darting or hesitation typical of early conversations. Her shoulders drop, her arms uncross, and her overall posture becomes entirely open and fluid. This is where so many men misstep. They get overly focused on hunting for immediate physical signals, completely blind to the fact that emotional alignment must pave the way first. You can never force or trick a woman into this state with superficial pickup lines, scripted routines, or performative artificial confidence. Women do not surrender to a dynamic because a guy is putting on an act. They respond to a man who is calm, deeply grounded, and completely tethered to the present moment. As you step into stage 6, her attraction shifts from an automatic instinctual spark into a conscious, intentional choice. She is no longer just passively reacting to your presence or responding to the atmosphere you have built. She is actively choosing to stay in it and push the connection deeper. You will feel the tone of the interaction shift noticeably. Her voice drops into a softer, lower register that carries an unmistakable sense of intimacy. Her eyes hold yours with absolute steady certainty, completely unfazed by the intensity of the moment. The entire interaction stops feeling like a game of ping pong or a social test and begins to flow effortlessly, as if time itself has slowed down around both of you. This final phase is precisely where average men panic and ruin all of their built-up momentum. The moment they sense a woman opening up, their insecurity takes over, and they react by rushing the process, pushing too hard, or acting entitled to a specific outcome. They mistake her openness for an invitation to take control aggressively. And in doing so, they completely shatter the fragile atmosphere they worked so hard to build. True masculine strength in this moment shows up through quiet restraint, absolute patience, and unshakable presence. When you are truly grounded in your own value, you do not feel the impulse to force the pace or demand validation. You simply hold the space and allow her to step into it freely. When you learn how to feel and read energy, rather than endlessly overanalyzing every single word or gesture, you permanently eliminate the anxiety of guessing where you stand, and you never have to resort to chasing again. If this gave you a clearer perspective on dating and reading nonverbal cues, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a guy who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.